Hey, what's going on, guys? Code Games here. Today we're gonna write the only single line of Python code within a SCRAPY shell in order to scrape data regarding the courses from classes.oregonstate.edu from the recursive API call. So if we just specify some criteria to search criteria here and just just click search, we're making the first API call to extract the general courses information like code and this title. So we need to scrape, we will be scraping this code and title, and then if we just click this one more time here, yet another API call occurs, and here we got the description. So this task is provided by one of my subscribers who's trying to make this job as his Upwork project, as his current ongoing Upwork project. So his request is actually try to scrape this code, title, and description. So this is exactly the data that we would be scraping in this tutorial. But again, like within the only single line of Python code, believe it or not. So if you're interested in completing this sort of a tutorial, buckle up and we begin. Now I close this unnecessary tab and leave only the necessary information regarding the data sets, regarding the particular API call that initially which gets the initial course data set, and then a subcall that gets some details from every single course when you click on it. So we would be extracting the description from here. Also, we would be forwarding the data between the different layers of this website. So trust me, this would be interesting. So the very first thing to consider, I want to invoke my SCRAPY shell, and now in order to work with the request and response simultaneously, I need to create a tuple where the first element would be the fetch method, and the second one the response object. So I want to reference the text. Also, we need to import SCRAPY and JSON to be able to parse the JSON response there. And SCRAPY is needed to make use of a custom request, so I can simply say SCRAPY dot request, and now let's specify the URL that would be equal to this one. So just grab this sorry, not this one, here's this one actually, copy, and note this is the post request. So here is our URL, and then the method would be equal to post, and the body, which is very important part here, would be equal to this sort of stuff. So just the request payload. I can grab it for it's already being encoded, which is pretty nice, so we don't need to do this by hands this like. Okay, so I hold my breath, hit enter. I hope to see the JSON data as a response. Okay, perfect. So which means that now we can say like JSON.loads, and we can actually trying to parse this to Python dictionary. Perfect. And also let's have a look at our data again. So the preview. So we got this results key, and then we have a list that we can iterate over. So here let's specify actually the results key, this like, okay, perfect. And now let's iterate over the list of the results. So we can say for course in this list, and let's simply try to print a couple of new lines to distinguish between the different courses and the course itself. So here we got a list of lots of courses really, but just during the debugging purposes, we don't really need to crawl through all of them. So I would just limit the list to the only element, and from here we need to forward the title and the code to the next level of scraping, and also we'll need to make use of the group. So that's just not everything at once. So let's first try to extract the needed data and parse this to the next level, and then we'll see what we need actually. So if we have a look at course title, then we got our title. Okay, and if we have a look at course code respectively, we have our code. So now instead of this print statement, again, I want to work with the request and response simultaneously, so yet another tuple here, and now another fetch method and another response object. Response, well, let's keep it like response.text just for a while. So here I want to create another SCRAPY request, and here the URL will be equal to, and now let me grab the URL from right over in here. So these are the details for the particular course, and also let's specify the meta, that would be equal to, so we need to pass the title, and title would be equal to course title. Okay, and also we need to pass the code. Well, probably let's put the code at the very beginning actually. So code and course code, this like. Okay, then we need to specify the method equals to post, and finally specify the body. And this is gonna be a little bit interesting, so before going for that, let me just try to open another terminal. It's just for the debugging purposes, so let's open the Python console and say from urllib.parse import unquote. And now if we have a look at this payload data here, just we don't really need all of this, but we need just the very first element. That would be literally enough to get a description at least. So unquote, and paste this in. So here is the payload we need to provide, but again, like, we don't really need to paste this key and this all this stuff, so just providing the group would be literally enough here. So on the other hand, well, at least this does match the description. That I know this because I've already checked that out, but obviously we could have actually tried to make use of all of them, but again, like, for the one-line format, it seems to be literally enough to get just the bare group. So I just want to match this format here, so let me copy, and we don't really need this anymore. And here within the body, so I would be using json.dumps. Okay, and here let me provide my dictionary. Okay, so no quotes. Oh no, this quote should be here. Okay. Okay, so the group, okay, let me just make it slightly a bit wider here. So the group, and now instead of this value, we need to make it a variable, say plus and course, and actually I guess course code, right? So was it a code? Yeah, I guess course code should be just fine here. Okay, so I'll hold my breath and try to run this just to make sure. Yeah, so at least we do have our response, and the description should be right over in here. So from now on, let's actually try to print our data. So again, let's have a couple of new lines, and then I want to create another dictionary. So first, let's try to extract our metadata. So title would be equal to response.meta.get and title. So let's have a look to make sure. Okay, so this has been forwarded, perfect. And now the description, the same for the now the same for the code. Again, like, let's put the code before title. So here we got our code. It would be equal to response.meta.get and code. Okay, perfect. And the very last thing to consider would be our description. So here I would say description, and well, first let's actually parse the entire, so say JSON loads. Let's parse the entire response.text. Okay, and now let me just try to look for description if it is actually available. Description, no, not this one. Okay, I remember I saw the description within this data actually. So, well, let me just try to reference that key if that is actually available. Okay, so here I hope that the description key is actually available. Okay, topics will include engineering fundamentals. This one, yeah, topics will include the engineering fundamentals of aeronautics, and okay, so this is it basically. Okay, and now we can try to, well, let's see kind of first 10 elements here available. So we see like we do this multi-level scraping, so we're getting the code and the title from the initial API call, and description is getting from the nested API call. So the very last thing to consider now is just actually try to write this data to CSV file. In order to do this, let's also import CSV here. Okay, and now let's get to our print statement. So we don't need to use this new lines anymore, and instead of this print we'll use the write row method of CSV.dictionary writer, right? And the dictionary writer would take two arguments. The first one would be the file stream, so I say open, and let's call this courses.csv, and we want to, I guess, to append to the file stream. And the second element would be the list in the column names. So we got our code, and then followed by the title, and then followed by the description. Okay, so now this should have created I guess 9 or 10 rows within the CSV file. So let's make sure that I don't have this courses.csv on my desktop. Now let's hold our breaths and hit enter. Yeah, courses.csv seems to appear right over in here. So let's have a look what we got within this file. So if it does actually contain the data we need or not. Yeah, it seems like it does actually. So we got the code, title, and the description of the course. Yeah, perfect. So the very last thing to add here is the column names, and then we can run this to scrape the entire data basically. So let's go for this as well. So here I would like to say just open and courses.csv. This time I want to open this to write the file stream, and I want to write this column name, so code and title and description, and the new line at the very end. So this time it should have rewrite this entire file basically, and the column names should have appeared there as well. So let's check that out actually. Okay, seems like our column names are now available, which is perfect. Okay, so from now on we can actually get rid of this limit and crawl through all the available courses there. So I'm just wondering how many courses kind of available here. Well, I'm not sure if this does use some infinite scroll or something, but I think this is yet impressive enough actually what we have already done. So let's wait until the crawler actually finishes its job, and hopefully we would obtain the list of the courses with the code, title and description for every single course here. Okay, so I just paused the video recording here just in order to avoid wasting your time, and then when it's done I'll resume the recording and we'll end this up basically. Okay guys, so I just realized that it's gonna take too long because we got exactly 2,269 courses here, so you can multiply this value by 2 to get the number of requests made here. So, but unfortunately I can't stop this, because if I stop this crawling now, actually the single line of code in order to fetch this sort of a data would have been dropped, and that's kind of it. So I'm forced to wait until this ends up in a normal way basically, and then I would actually try to grab that line of code and store this on my GitHub repo dedicated to one-line scrapers using the SCRAPY Shell, and then I will upload this video and share this stuff with you guys. So the very last thing I would like to mention is actually this sort of a job offer that my subscriber got is really perfect for beginners, because everything can be crawled easily. You see, like we have this 200 responses all along the way. Well, we didn't even ever specify any sort of headers or cookies or things like that, so just the bare requests and the payloads, and that's kind of it, so not a big deal basically. So this is really nice. I highly encourage you guys to start receiving the job offers like this one, because it's really they are really nice to kickstart with. So I guess this is it from my side, so I will wait 20-30 minutes more basically until this crawling is done basically, and then I will share the line of code with you guys. So this is it from my side. Thanks for watching. Until the next time, and take care.